Yo, 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 what's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 50 of On the Mark Wrestling Podcast. I'm your host, Kayode, with my other host, Lewis. Lewis, what's going on, bro? We are getting off the heels of a electrifying WrestleMania 40, my brother.
Electrifying indeed. This is your co-host Luis Mercedes. On the Mark is back in full effect. Episode 50. How
Yeah,
monumental
man.
and how appropriate. We got our 50th episode that coincides with the 40th installment of WrestleMania in
Nuts.
good old Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. Um,
And it was
you
cold as
know,
hell outside on night one, by the way.
Yeah, I had two good friends that attended. Shout out to Gio and shout out to Jonathan. And yeah, they said that it was brick by the time the main event came on for night one, but the weather was a lot nicer for night two.
Right.
Yeah. Um, I gotta say this, K Weezy. WrestleMania 40, now that it's in the books and we've had time to really process it, WrestleMania 40 really is going to go down as one of my all-time favorite WrestleManias. I'm putting it in my top five.
Top
Uh,
five.
yes. When I think of all the WrestleManias, this had like a bit of everything, and it delivered on pretty much all fronts. It gave you the great wrestling, the exciting title changes, the crowd atmosphere, the memorable main events for night
Hmm.
one and two. You had the star power, the surprise appearances. Yeah, this WrestleMania, not only is it going to go down as one of my top five favorite WrestleManias of all time, it also featured one of the most emotional and beautiful endings I have ever seen to a wrestling event. Like when Cody got that 3 count, I felt a lump in my throat and something came over me. Then moments later, Samantha Irvin, shout out to
Yeah.
Samantha Irvin for her amazing work. Her passion just almost completely stopped her from being able to finish announcing that the new WWE Undisputed Champion. When she started getting all emotional and choked up like that, that brought tears to my eyes. And it was it was such an impactful moment for me as a pro wrestling fan because it reaffirmed why I love pro wrestling, why I love this business, why I'm just a fanatic because it can evoke that kind of emotion and reaction from me when I'm so invested in a story that has such a tremendous payoff. And
That's true.
it was the most emotional and heartfelt moment since, dare I say, Eddie Guerrero and Chris Benoit at the end of WrestleMania 20. No one talks about it for obvious reasons, but yeah, I've never experienced in my lifetime as a wrestling fan an announcer struggling to get through announcing the winner of a match. I've never seen that. So that's what's gonna make this one. I'll never forget it. Let's just put it that way.
You know what? I definitely agree with you. It was a great mania. Probably one of the best in a very long time. I think 39 also evoked emotion because we didn't know where it was going to go.
Yeah.
And it was still a solid main event. I wouldn't put this in my top five though. This is definitely in top 10 for me. Top 10 for sure.
Okay.
And you
I
know
was
me,
gonna say it's got to be top 10.
this is definitely top 10 for sure. For a lot of reasons. Your two main events on both nights were outstanding. Your both opening matches for both nights, very, very good.
Very true.
They started off hot and they ended hot, which I really, really enjoyed. The pacing of the show was great. The crowd was into it, but I was surprised they weren't a little. I was expecting a little more rambunctious, like rambunctious. Like I was expecting like some real Philly fans. I think the cold probably got to them though, to tell you the
Yeah.
truth, on night one. But yeah, it overall definitely solid, definitely in my top 10 for sure. I gotta go back and watch some of the mid card. I think for me, the mid card kind of fell short or felt a little flat in some cases. but nothing to take away from the overall enjoyment that was
Oh yeah.
that was WrestleMania. I think my only complaint is the Jimmy and Jay match was kind of whack. Kind of whack. There was nothing going on. It was just it felt very stale. It felt like they were trying to do something that just didn't work. It just
Yeah.
it did not hit. And a year ago, when we were talking about these two possibly facing each other at Mania, that the people were saying that could be match of the night. But on Saturday, nah, man, that's a forgettable match, in my opinion. So yeah, I'm feeling you on the definitely within the top 5 or 10, and I'm hearing a lot of people say that about this Mania.
Yeah, to comment real quick on the Usos, yes, given the build up and everything they've been through with the bloodline story, I was expecting an epic encounter. I really thought they were going to steal the show. They did not. The match was very disappointing. It wasn't much of anything to it. A
Yeah,
bunch of super kicks and facial expressions and a very anticlimactic ending. So I think that was the most disappointing match of the weekend, just because I had high expectations for it. I think everybody did.
yeah.
Uh, I'm not sure what happened there. I don't know if they
Something
were.
was off, man. I
I
don't
don't know if
know.
they were pressed for time. I just don't know. It just the match didn't deliver. That's all I could say. But
Yeah,
before we dive into the main events, the opening matches, like you said, were hell. It was a hell of a start to night one with Rhea and Becky. Great opening match. The right person went over.
of course. Yeah,
Becky's got her number one New York Times bestseller with her book, but hey, mommy's always on top.
mommy's always on top, man. That's true.
Rhea's continuing to fire on all cylinders, so it just made sense to have her retain and get the Philly crowd going for that night. And then night two, we got that memorable match because it was a great match with Seth and Drew. Drew finally got his moment, becoming world champion in front of an actual live audience. But then he had that exchange with CM Punk, and I'm like, where are they going with this? Because at this point, I wasn't thinking at all about Damian Priest, not
Right.
one bit. So when Punk starts kicking away at him and the Damian Priest music hit, I marked out completely. I was like, oh shit. Like I forgot about him. And when he got the 3 count, it I was super, super excited. I marked out because of what it represented. Him being Puerto Rican from Brooklyn. It the Puerto Ricans are the closest to it's the closest thing that we have, Dominicans, that is.
That's
It's
true.
the closest thing to Dominican. So Damian Priest, it's a big win for Latinos, especially like Caribbean Latinos, and if you grew up in New York, obviously, and he's been busting his ass since the indie days for years and years, doing some stuff with House of Glory. When he was Punishment Martinez. So I was genuinely happy for him, and it was a historic moment. It was something that I was very proud of. Now, where we go going forward, that remains to be seen. But hopefully, they line up some good challengers to give him some really credible wins. So shout out to Damian Priest.
Yeah, shout out to Damian Priest, man. And again, like you, I had no idea. I forgot all about that briefcase, man. I forgot all about the briefcase. I didn't know what was happening. But as soon as his music hit, I knew Homeboy was winning because they've been featuring Priest as this dominant leader of the Judgment Day, this force, this stat. He's got a great look. He's got the stature. He just looks the part.
Yeah.
I just wonder who they're going to line up, against him. I like what they're going to do with Jey Uso as being probably the first one up. I think they could do a really good program together. But yeah, this is going to be an interesting run for him, and it's got to be done right because if it's not, then you know you could hurt him in the long run.
Yeah.
You can make him feel diminished in a lot of ways. So, bigs up to Priest cashing in, man. I like the cash in. I just don't think I think he needs a little more. I think he needs an elevated level of star power. And what that means, I don't know. In creative, they're gonna have to think about it and present it. But I just think there's just a little something missing. But yeah, I think it's gonna be solid. But what was solid, Lewis, your girl Jade made her appearance with
Hmm.
Naomi and Bianca Belair against Damage Control. And these three beautiful black women, beautiful black queens, all ex champions in their own right, did their thing. And Jade, I'm excited to see what Jade does. She's got the full package. I just think her in ring is a little, eh, you know, it ain't there. It ain't there. It ain't there yet for me. She looks like she's thinking too much. It's not natural for her.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's not natural for her. So I wonder how they are going to book her in the long run. But again, if you're going to put her against anybody, Damage Control is a good is a good foe. And Bianca and Naomi are two women who can kind of lead her down a path of like learning what the business is all about. Especially the in-ring psychology. What did you think about that, man? Jade and the trios match.
Well, I love the trio. I think it, and I called this a few months ago on the podcast. If you were gonna have Jade ready to wrestle at WrestleMania, she needed to be in a tag team match of some sort, and it worked out even better that it was a 6-person match, right? I love the grouping of Jade, Naomi, and Bianca. Unofficially, I think they're called the Storm.
The
It,
Storm.
I
Okay.
mean, it
It
looks
works.
they all look the part and it makes
Yeah.
sense. Um, and that's a historic moment, three, like you said, three black women and what that represents for the African American community, especially all the African American girls out there, or little girls of color. They're looking at that, they're watching that, and they're like, that's gonna be me one day on
Yeah.
that stage. Um, Jade Cargill, I keep saying Cargill. There's no D in her name. It's
No.
Cargill. Cargill.
Cargill. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Cargill. Um, she looks like a straight up action figure.
Yeah.
My goodness, she's got like the perfect build.
Perfect.
My goodness. So my thoughts, the match was good. It was entertaining. It was what it was. I think the move set still, like you said, comes across kind of choreographed, and those are some of the same criticisms that we had with her matches and her work in AEW
Hmm.
when she had her run as TBS champion. Very choreographed, and like she's thinking too much before she's executing the moves. Now, even with all that said, I think Jade is like a 50-50 split. So 50% of it she's got down, which is the presentation. The presentation is fine. She looks like a megastar. She carries herself like a megastar. But the other half is still, it needs some refinement.
Oh yeah.
Which is the in-ring work. The in-ring work still leaves much to be desired, but having her in a stable and in tag matches is a good way to protect her. Now, I do think that WWE can capitalize on the limited move set and make her into a Goldberg type
Hmm.
worker where she comes out, works these really quick matches, does her power move sets, has these squash matches, and then even when she has her main event matches, not overworking her, making those matches like maybe 8 minutes tops, 8 to 10 minutes tops,
Right.
because that's essentially what Goldberg was doing during his hot run. So she can be the female Goldberg if they wanted to go down that route. Just present her as like this unstoppable force and just utilize her physique to her advantage.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I agree. I think you book her as like a Goldberg, right? But at some point, Jade's gonna need an opponent, a credible
Yeah.
one, right?
Yeah.
I just wonder who they have in mind long term to be the person that Jade is, sparring against. That's what I want to see. I don't care to see the squash matches. I get you got to do that
Yeah.
with someone like her, I get you gotta do that with someone like her. I want to see Jade in story. We didn't get that in ADW. We didn't get her in any type of story. She did exactly what you mentioned. She came out every week. She beat somebody up for like 5 minutes and won. She was undefeated and only lost one match, right? Um, I need to see her some storyline, man. I need to see what she can do when it comes to getting across a story to an audience to either make the crowd for you or against you. I need to see Jade in that role. And until then, she's going to have a lot to prove to me. I think she's got it all. Like you said, she looks like a damn action figure. I mean, my goodness, have you seen her abs? Her abs are ridiculous. Like
Right.
ridiculous. They look painted on. That's how ridiculous it is.
Yeah.
But until I see Jade in some story, which is for me the benchmark of where a wrestler should be if they can tell a story. Until then, I'm still out on Jade on being, she's still green. She still needs some work, but I loved what I saw at Mania. Absolutely loved what I saw at Mania. And on night one, Lewis, I think we all agree we loved The Rock, Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. What a tag team match, bro. Started off slow for me. I was like, okay, where is this going? And they picked it up like crazy. Man, The Rock I think The Rock elevated the hell out of these two main events in Mania. Big time.
Absolutely.
Big
Absolutely.
time. This new version of The Rock is so great. It and my man is dropping F-bombs and yo, it's so good. It's so good. I
It's
love it.
yeah, and who would have ever thunk it that we'd be praising The Rock for some of his best work in the year 2024? I mean, holy moly.
Exactly.
Yeah, just such a fun main event.
Yeah.
The exchanges that they had in and out of the ring, The Rock right before he's dropping the people's elbow, acknowledging Mama Rhodes.
Mama
It
Ro.
just fantastic stuff all around. And they needed to go over because otherwise you wouldn't have had all the shenanigans in the main event of night two between Cody and
Exactly.
Roman.
Exactly. And listen, man, The Rock went all the way in, man. My man had a custom belt with Mama Rhodes on it. And the way he was speaking, he was like Mama Rhodes, and like the way he spoke slowly and softly about Mama Rhodes, it was so good. And you know what, Lewis? It makes it even more that much more exciting to see a Cody versus Rock story. Yo,
Yeah, for
I know the
real.
Rock said he's gonna ride off into the sunset for a little while, right? Doing his thing, whatever the hell he's doing. Is the Rock. He's got a million things going on. But when he comes back, that story is going to be fire. Like I can't wait. Because then what happens, right? It gives it time to breathe. So now, when Rock comes back, there's going to be a plan on how they're going to do this story
Yep.
versus The
Yep.
Rock having to be thrown into this story and had to pivot, right? Because we were going to get Roman and Rock. That's what we were going to get Roman and Rock.
Yeah, yeah, that was the
But
original plan.
but they had to pivot into this. Now imagine them having so much time to now create a full-fledged story to get us to Cody and Rock. I'm mad excited for it. And I know you are too. That's your guy. So I
Yeah,
know I
yeah.
know you're ready for that.
I'm ecstatic. The main question is what did The Rock, on Raw, what did he put in Cody's hand? And what did he mean by don't you ever break my heart again? Because that circles back into when Cody issued the challenge to Roman on SmackDown, and then The Rock comes out. And remember, they had that exchange where they shook hands, and Rock had whispered something in Cody's ear.
Right. Right.
So
Yeah, yeah.
that long term storytelling is we're seeing that come to fruition, and I couldn't be more excited. And it's a shame that The Rock has to take an extended time off because he's doing some of the most entertaining work of his
Yeah.
career, and that says a lot.
Yeah. And I mean, listen, The Rock has the keys to the castle.
Oh yeah,
Your man could walk up into that arena drop F bombs, walk to the back, and no one could say anything to him. Like
Nope.
so,
Nope.
so I'm digging all of it, right? And imagine when they move to Netflix, bro. They don't have
Oh,
to bleep. They don't have to bleep anything out. So
that's true.
I can't wait to see where this company is going to be at once they get to Netflix. We may be looking at a completely different type of company,
Oh yeah. Oh
because
yeah.
they're moving away from sports entertainment. They're embracing pro wrestling.
Yes, yes.
Um,
They dropped the term pro wrestling quite a few times over the weekend and on Raw.
yeah,
And
man,
it's so refreshing because the wrestlers have always been the roster of WWE, that is, they've always been referred to as superstars, and
superstars. Yeah, yeah,
we're entertainers and sports entertainment, and
yeah,
yes, pro wrestling is entertainment, but I think during the Vince McMahon era, we just lost sight, or not we as fans, but the company, lost sight of the fact that at the end of the day, it's wrestling. You
yeah.
know, it's
It's wrestling.
entertainment. It's supposed to be entertainment, but it is wrestling. Like, you want bell to bell action.
Yeah,
You want
I
a good
agree.
story, but you want bell to bell action as well.
Yep, got to have bell to bell action, and yeah, and it's good for them to move away from anything Vince anyway. So,
Yeah, yeah,
it's a good look for the company to do that. Um, and then speaking, we spoke about long-term storylines. I mean, we got the payoff on night two.
yeah.
Cody versus Roman again. Bloodline rules, and again the match started slow, and they made their way up that mountain, man. Once they got to the top,
Woo wee.
oh my goodness. It was one of the most entertaining main events in a Mania that I've ever seen in years. In years. In years.
Yeah.
It was solid. Solid. So again, solid main event on that end. And Cody finishes the story, man. He becomes the guy. He
Yeah.
becomes the man.
And that was the right choice, because we were talking for a while about how Roman was supposed to retain to beat Hogan's record, and I said fuck Hogan's record. I mean, that shit's irrelevant, man. Like, no one cares. No one cares. The right thing to do is to put Cody over,
Right.
and he did it in such an emotional way. I mean, wow, the run-ins from John Cena to the Shield version of Seth Rollins to the Taker, the dead man himself. The only person missing was Stone Cold.
With Stone Cold, that was
Austin's
yeah.
glass breaking would have
Oh my
that would have
God.
incited an earthquake, bro,
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
that
And
stadium.
but I gotta say something about the Seth Rollins Shield joint. Was you said your boy Seth got bitched out. He didn't get no offense. He got
Yeah,
he got hit with a chair. Your boy, it was. I don't even know what the point of that was. Like, what
I don't.
you come out in your Shield garb, you play the music that we haven't heard in years, and you come out and get no offense, not even a punch in. Like, it made Seth look stupid. Like, I don't get. I don't know. It just
It did make him look stupid, and
looked dumb.
I for a split second, I actually thought Moxley was gonna be part of that
Yo,
running. I really
Lu-
did think that for a split
Lewis, I
second.
thought I was like, yo, is this Mox? Wow.
That would have been such an amazing one-off appearance.
Yeah. Yeah,
That
it
would
would have
have
been.
that would have put a cherry on top of an already packed Sunday.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And now your boy Roman rolls, your boy Roman's going to take some time off. He'll be back though. And he might be back as a baby face, people are saying.
I could
A
see
baby
that.
face that people get behind. But yeah, man, again, there was so much happened on Mania. We hit the main points. And Mania as a whole, both night one and night two, was extremely well done. This was the first one in the Triple H era or the Paul Levesque era, because Stephanie came out, which was unexpected in night two,
Yeah,
and made that proclamation. She put the flag into the ring and said, "This is the Triple H era," and
yeah.
it's going to be a hell of an era, bro. Hell of an era.
I do want to give a shout out to Sami Zayn, because
Mm.
Sami Zayn and Gunther put on a hell of a
Hell
match.
of a match.
And I wasn't expecting Gunther's reign to end. I actually thought Sammy was going to come up short, but second year in a row that Sammy's got a memorable WrestleMania moment. So good for him. Good for Gunther. They put on one of the best matches of the weekend.
Yeah,
So yeah,
absolutely.
shout out to Sami Zayn, new Intercontinental Champion.
Yeah, man, and they're just going to move Gunther into that main event spot. So I think
Yeah,
that's next for him. But yeah, Sammy does the chasing. He does the chase and the struggle very well, which I
he
appreciate.
does.
So
Yeah,
bigs up to Sami Zayn, man. But listen, that's your WrestleMania recap here on the Mark Wrestling
oh yeah.
Podcast. I'm your boy Kayode. Catch us on Instagram on the Mark Wrestling Podcast on YouTube. You're gonna check out the video. Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff. And check us out next week.
Yes, sir. You guys take care. Have a good night. Be safe or have a good day whenever you're listening/watching. And like Kayode said, continue to support. We appreciate all of our followers on social media, all our listeners on the audio. And y'all be safe. Until next time. Peace.
Peace out, y'all.